Hello everyone, I am Peppino here, back playing more Kerbal Space Program. And last episode we put down our first two Munar bases, and now we are back to put down some more, and then test out some of the other Munar fleet ships that we have stationed here. And so now I'm just transferring the fuel and preparing for flight of our next moon base. And the first two went pretty well, and these are real easy to fly. So this is a really good design if you want to drop down a Munar base. Um, and I'm sure you've seen, but basically all it is one of the four Kerbal little habitats on top of some fuel and engines. And we've got Fildo Kerman here as we decouple and separate ourselves from the Munar station. And then we're going to just have to time warp until we get away from the station a little further. And then we're going to have to activate our engines and then pick a spot to land. So, we'll just do a little burn to get away. And I see a large crater. So I think that might be a good spot to try and land. We went for a large crater before, but we found the Munar Arch, and then we landed there instead. So this time I'm going to land in the crater. So I just eyeball which direction I need to go, and forgot to turn on my SAS there, so I was spinning out of control, and that's why that happened. And so there we go, we got a nice trajectory to bring us down in the crater, and so it should be an interesting landing. And now, here we go, we're flying over the surface of the crater, and just taking a look at the surrounding area. We're going to have to kill a bunch of lateral velocity here, but we're still above 20,000 meters, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I see something in the distance, and it looks like another Munar Arch, and I am spinning out of control again. And I realized what the problem was, and I had to balance it out. But we are just spinning crazily, because the RCS fuel was not properly placed, and so basically this craft is incredibly unbalanced, and that leads to lots of problems, obviously. So after we figured that out here, you can see what I have to do, and that's find the unbalanced tank, which is the one right there, and do a couple transfers to try to get them as even as possible and stop from spinning. But yeah, basically I cut out a little bit of the me just tumbling through the sky there. But anyway, after we balance that out and we are coming in for landing, not really anywhere near the Munar Arch. We are a lot north of it. We're probably 50 kilometers at least north of the Munar Arch, but we didn't have the fuel because of my mistake. We did not have the fuel to change our course enough to land near the arch, but we now know where it is. So we just have our landing lights on, and you can see the light there as we are coming in for this landing, and we slow ourselves down to below 10 meters per second. We've still got a bit of lateral movement, but it's not too bad. There's the landing lights on the ground coming in for a nice routine touchdown of our third Munar base. And right about now, there is touchdown. And it wants to tip, but it doesn't. So, we have touchdown of our third Munar base. Fildo Kerman has successfully landed it on the surface, even despite my mistake of what happened was when I transferred the fuel, I clicked on a different RCS tank from one of the ships that was not this one. So only two of them were full. One of them had about a third of the fuel, which is a lot of weight to be unbalanced, and therefore we tumbled a lot. So Phildo just stretches out his legs a bit, falls down once, hops up, and back into the capsule there. And so that's our base. Now, this time I'm going to make sure that I fill everything correctly on all of these monopropellant tanks, and I'm going to double check it this time, even triple check possibly, because I really don't want that to happen again. And so now we got to just keep fueling everything up, and this time I am going to try land this fourth base right next to that Munar arch that we saw. So we EVA Luke Kerman, I believe it is, and he flies over to the base, and then we are ready to bring it down. I check again, and lucky thing I did, because again I clicked on one of the wrong RCS tanks, but now they are all full, and so we decouple, and this base should be a lot easier to land because I didn't make a mistake. So we are going to shoot for slightly south of the last base that we landed, and I'm basically just going to eyeball it here as far as fixing the trajectory. And we're going to have to remember this trajectory, and I almost forgot to, well, I did forget actually, to turn my engines on, but I figured that out and solved that problem pretty quick. And so, here we go, our little orbital maneuvering that I just sort of skipped there until we are right above the arch, and if you look you can just barely see it as the lighting hits it correctly. But so now we are right above where we need to be, and so we're just going to want to kill our lateral movement and bring it down right on the arch. And you can see now what I was talking about, the arch coming into view right down there. And now we'll skip ahead again till we're down very close to the surface and bring it in for hopefully a very close landing to the Munar arch. And then here we go, time warp until we are down to under 7,000 meters. And we're just going to want to kill a lot of our velocity, a lot of lateral velocity that we have. And there we go. And now we can give ourselves a little more lateral velocity back in the correct direction, right towards the arch. And we're down below 5,000 meters now, not above the surface, above sea level if you want to call it that. And here we go, there's the arch, bringing it in, and we are down close enough, down to 2,500 meters, and then here skip till we are about ready to land, down to 1,600 meters now, and we are dropping down very, very slowly, and I want to point us just ever so slightly towards the arch so that we can keep moving. We'll deploy the landing legs and lights, and here we go, bringing it in for landing near to the arch. And this, I like this arch better than the last one because the terrain around it is a lot more flat. If you remember, the other one is kind of on like a hill type of thing, right on the edge of a crater. And so I do like this arch better, so I think I'm going to make this my main Munar base. As you see the landing lights illuminating the ground, showing us that we are close as we get ever closer to the arch, but we have a lot of lateral velocity that we don't want. So I try to kill as much of that as I can, but we still have quite a bit. So we're going ever so slowly towards the arch, And still a lot of lateral movement. And I try to bring it down, but I don't want to land with too much lateral movement. Now we've pretty much got nothing but. And again, almost there, but I try to pull it up a little bit. And here we go. And we almost tip over, so I shoot straight up, fire up the engines. And we were going to tip over there, and I did not want to let that happen. And now we're slightly out of control. We are tumbling a bit, but it's okay. We managed to kill off a lot of our velocity. We are just now way back up in the air, unfortunately. So we have to bring it down for landing again, but we aren't moving side to side too much anymore, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we are right above the arch where we want to be, and this is close enough for me at least. So we're going to bring it down right there. We just have to kill off our lateral velocity now so that we don't have to do it so close to the ground, because that's a problem. So back down now to about 1,600 meters, and we're going nice and slow. We have enough fuel left to complete this landing, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem with fuel. We are right near the side of the arch and going down very slowly, and just using our RCS to change our position a little bit, just checking the resources. And I'm not too worried about the fuel, so we can go and try move ourselves a little bit more this way. And here we go. Now we will bring it down below 1,500 meters for our final descent to land our Munar base with Luke Kerman inside. So here we go. We've got the landing lights out, and we're down nice and close. We've still got some lateral movement, but I don't think it's too bad, so we're going to bring it in for landing. And here it is, sliding across the surface here. And the nice thing is we have a landing leg in the direction that we're going, so it's not going to be as bad. And hit the wrong button there and thrust it up more than I wanted to, but it's not too bad. So here we go, bringing it down for landing, a little farther from the arch than I would have liked to be, and a little more lateral movement. But like I said, that landing leg sticking in the exact right direction to kill all of our lateral velocity, and there we go. That is our Munar base, the arch looming over in the background. And we'll extend the ladders so that Luke Kerman, who is back on the moon, he was the first Kerbal on the moon back in Season 1 of my Kerbal Space Program videos. He's back on the moon now, and he is the first one at our main Munar base. And so we're going to have him run over to touch the Munar arch and go exploring. We'll use his jetpack, and we are getting back to using the jetpacks. We were a little cautious for a while with what happened to Billy Bobbly Kerman, again back in Season 1, where during his jetpack flight on the moon, he hit the ground a little bit too hard, and yeah, that was a very, very unfortunate event. And we'll zoom out, take a look at the surrounding terrain. It looks pretty cool, and we have our Munar base not too far from the arch. So I think this is the base that we're going to try to expand upon, because it's got this nice large flat area. It's on the edge of a crater if we wanted to explore that, and it's got this awesome Munar arch here. And both Munar arches we found have been right on the edge of craters, so you gotta wonder if that has something to do with their formation, because next to the two largest craters we saw on the Munar surface, there were these arches. So far, Kerbal scientists don't know how Munar arches are formed, but their best guess is it has something to do with those craters. So now Luke will slide back It's about a 300 meter, a little more than 300 meter journey from the station ship there, which will have to be renamed as a base, and from there to the arch. So we will have much more Munar exploration and experimenting to do, but now, once he gets back there, we're going to have to test out the other craft that we brought onto our Munar station, because we have landed all 4 of the bases that we had set up. And like I said, this is going to be our main base. We'll probably keep the other guys at their bases, because the other arch base we have is an interesting location to study, as well as the base on the far side of the moon. Both of them have enough reason to keep them open. I will maybe eventually get Fildo from the base that we landed earlier in the episode and bring him here, because it's close enough to here, and there's really not that much interesting going on at the other Munar base, but that can happen in the future. For right now, we are more concerned with getting Luke Kerman. We'll just speed up time here to get him inside, and there we go. Now we'll rename it, and we renamed it Northern Munar Base, but I may have to change that, or Northern Arch Base rather, but I may have to change that because I looked back and geographically speaking, we're not actually that much farther north than the other Arch Base. I thought we were, but they're both actually closer to the equator than I thought. What we're doing with this mission is it's an unmanned mission with one of those little single capsule landers that we have, and my original idea was to pick up Fildo Kerman from his base and bring him to the new base that we just landed near the arch. But you'll see why that doesn't exactly work out as well as I'd hoped in a second here. These craft need to be redesigned. I don't really like them too much. It may be tough to tell with the video, but I struggled a bit to fly this thing precisely. It kinda, I don't know, once we get down for landing, it was just difficult to control, more difficult than I would like a lander to be if we're going to be using the design a lot. But back to the drawing board. These were just quickly designed as we attached them to the core of our station before we launched it. So like I said before, these were untested, and design changes can be made in the future. So we'll put down the landing legs, and everything's working so far, other than the fact that this hasn't been as fuel efficient as I'd hoped. I'm thinking about new designs for landers anyway, but it won't be too much of a problem. I don't think. I think I should be able to come up with a design that's semi-decent, but we've used most of our fuel already, and we're not actually super close to where we need to be, but close enough where he could walk over here. But it's, like I said, it was difficult to tell in the sped up version of things, but just controlling these isn't as good as I would like. They will be redesigned. So what we're gonna do is bring this down for a safe landing in case we ever need it. It'll be there. Not sure what we could need it for, but it's always good to at least just have it down there on the surface, in case, I don't know, maybe someone will need to try get up into orbit and this will be the only option or something like that. So we'll leave it there for the same reason that I left Billy Bobley's first ship that he landed on the moon here, which should have enough fuel to get up into orbit. So if any Kerbals are on the moon and need to get to orbit, and that's the only way, they will be able to do so. So here we go, bringing it in for touchdown at below 3 meters per second, and it skipped there a little bit with fraps. That was not my choice, but it skipped to the landing. But either way, it came down cleanly. There's no real issues with the landing. So there that is. But yeah, it wasn't as fuel efficient as I would have liked. So there's that. And now we will move on back up to the station. And this one, since I know I'm not really going to use it for much, I had a little idea as an experiment, really. I tried to see what it would take to get this from the moon out to Minimus. And there's a lot of maneuver nodes used here because I had no idea really how to get from the moon to Minimus, and I still really have no idea because I just kind of did whatever the maneuver nodes told me to do, and most of those I just set up randomly by just kind of pulling it in the right direction until it worked. And so a lot of them didn't work too well, but either way, just a lot of messing around with that. And so we're going to try to get this out to Minimus and land it on Minimus if it has enough fuel, just as an experiment, because we are conquering the solar system, so we can't forget Kerbin's second moon. So, alright, we ditched that maneuver node and set up another one, and this one has us going around the sun all the way out to Duna's altitude, I guess you could call it, around the sun, and that's not what we wanted either, so we have to scale that way down. I set it a little bit too high, but yeah, this took a lot of tweaking and a lot of weird setups, but eventually we get one that I am sort of happy with, so we use it, and there it is. That should set us in an orbit around Kerbin that isn't terrible for a potential Minimus encounter. This was a pretty long mission though. It took a while to get the maneuver node, and then we're going to be in a large orbit around Kerbin, as you see right there. But this was after a couple passes, after probably 5 or 6 times around Kerbin, and we finally were able to set up a Minimus encounter right there. And so now we will bring it in for a hopeful landing down on Minimus, which we have a satellite orbiting, but I've never actually been to. And it should be interesting. It's so small that the gravity can't be too huge. So we're going to have to see how that goes as far as landing on it. I would think it would make it fairly easy, but who knows. And we're going to be coming down on the dark side of Minimus, so that should provide a little extra challenge, but nothing that we can't handle, hopefully. And we actually have a lot of fuel left on this ship, so I don't know, it's not actually really too bad. But again, I think I'm still going to redesign it, and so we time warp till we're way down to about 5,000 meters, and then we'll start killing some of our velocity. Because I don't know, Minimus is very hilly, and I can't see where I'm coming down, so you never know. You don't want to be landing on a random hill going very quickly. So I go down at constant around 10 meters per second, and I've got the landing lights turned on just so that hopefully we'll be able to see the ground, and I'm expecting a hill to pop up at any time. As you can see, we're already fairly low, down below 2,000 meters, and you can see hills around the sides of us everywhere as we bring this thing in for a nice landing. And going down around 5 to 10 meters per second, like I said. But it actually is fairly interesting. We don't end up hitting a hill. So I'm starting to realize we are above one of the frozen looking lake things. I'm not actually sure what they are. Minimus is a giant ice ball, and it looks like it has sort of what would be frozen lakes. As you can see now, down around 300 meters, the lights kick on to the surface, and we start to come in for a possible landing. And we get down closer and closer and closer, going very slowly, and it takes very little fuel to slow us down because of how low the gravity is. And we have touchdown on Minimus right there, and that is it. So that's our last mission for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. As you can see the light side of Minimus there now. So alright, I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.